Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another super cool, super articulated kaiju. As you can see if you haven't paid attention to the thumbnail or the title of the video, as you can see, you can take a look at exactly who we are checking out today. You should be able to recognize this beautiful face if you are a fan of kaijus. This is Gorosaurus, and Gorosaurus is, for some reason, one of my favorite kaiju that Toho has ever created. I don't know if it's just because it's such a simplistic design. It's very dinosaur-like, also a little bit Last Dinosaur-like. I've always seen such strong similarities between the Last Dinosaur and Gorosaurus, but I don't know, I just really have always been a big fan of this. Again, growing up, I was a big fan of dinosaurs to begin with, and my love of dinosaurs kind of led me to my love of kaiju. So that could be, again, why I have always had Gorosaurus as one of my favorites, but I'm really excited to actually see the Gorosaurus figure from Ricsan Custom Toys finally here in person. You can see, again, the packaging is pretty much as it usually is. You do have a window area, but it's, got like styrofoam in there, because that's how we are helping to protect our figure as it ships here to my review station. And then here on the back you can see again some more images of the painted up version, as well as again some kind of like 3D renders of the figure, and stating that it does have 26 points of articulation, and it actually does state Gorosaurus on the back. And then up here on the top again you can see some more images and collect them all. So let's go ahead, pop this open and check it out. So first of all, we've got some of these classic vehicles that Ricsan Custom Toys often includes in their kaiju sets. That's something, again, like if you purchase quite a few of their figures, you will have quite the legitimate army of these little figures that you can include in so many super cool dioramas. So I love the fact that those are included. And then, of course, the one that everybody has come to see, we've got ourselves the Gorosaurus figure, and it looks so stinking cool. I absolutely love this figure. Very impressed to see, like, these bluish tones on him, though. I will say that kind of caught me a little off guard, but it is a pretty neat look overall for Gorosaurus. I can also see some of the styrofoam here and there is kind of like stuck to him, so I'll have to clean that off eventually, because again, he is packed in there nice and safely, which is not a bad thing by any means. So if you start here in the head sculpt, and again you can see a few little areas of like some stuff in his face right there. There's still a little bit there. We'll get it off eventually. But you can see the skin texture looks really good in the face of Gorosaurus. We have some really nice looking scale detail. It does become finer as you move up there toward the nostrils. Definitely increases in size the further back into the head you go. You can see the same down here again for the lower jaw. The eye is painted with a white, then a reddish tone, and a black pupil. You can also see, of course, we've got the mouth open right now for Gorosaurus. We've also got the tongue sculpted out in there, and some decent detail there on the inside of the mouth on the upper side. We can see the teeth are all sculpted out here individually for each and every tooth, which we can see, which does look really cool. And I'm also impressed at how sharp the teeth actually look, like even including the fangs out here on the end of the mouth there, at the end of the jaw. They do all have a pretty sharp, genuine sharp look to them, which is really cool. This is also one of the earlier figures from Ricsan Custom Toys. I think this was one of the very first figures outside of the Stan Winston Godzilla that I had seen from Ricsan Custom Toys initially. So that goes to show you that even when they were basically in their infancy, they were still creating super cool releases. And you can see obviously that the jaw articulates. Does articulate quite nicely. You can basically put it to any length you would like. If you come up here to the top of the head, first of all, we can see the nostrils on the snout, but if you come up here to the top of the head, and my camera focuses, there we go, we can get a good feel for the skin texture, as well as, again, the variation to the skin texture as you move back. You can really see how fine the scales are up there near the snout, and how they increase in size as you move further back into the head. As you move down into the neck of Gorosaurus, you can see, again, some of those blues pick up. We do have the gray tone here for a large amount of the body, but then you have the blues pick up as you move back, and these figures are always painted with like an action figure style where they don't go like super in depth to give you the most realistic and like very lifelike paint job. Like they're painted like action figures, which is cool because that's basically what they are. But as you move back, you can also see again a whole bunch of creases in the neck. As you move down, when it comes to the skin, you can also see we've got a nice spot of articulation right here, which can go forward and back and of course left and right, and then you've got another spot down here. So together, once you basically articulate the head and neck, you could pretty much get any and every pose that you could possibly want, I would think, for the Gorosaurus, which is really cool, and again definitely giving you lots of possibilities as far as a display goes for the figure. Now I have to kind of reposition things to put them back the way they are, or the way they were. But yeah, we can see some more of that styrofoam showing up here and there. But as you move down, you can see again, you've got like some ridges moving along the back of the figure. They are painted out with a yellowish tone, pretty much the same tone of color you have there for the teeth. And as you move down, again, you see the skin texture looking really quite nice, very vibrant. There isn't a whole lot to Gorosaurus's design. He basically just looks like a really large theropod dinosaur. And again, they've pretty much perfectly replicated that look here for the figure. As you move down, you can see some musculature in the upper arm, and of course as we further lead down, you can see like the forearm and everything, as well as the hands for Gorosaurus, nicely sculpted out, and of course the claws are painted. There we go, with that same light tone of yellow. My camera really doesn't want to focus on the hand for some reason. I don't know why, it really does not want to. But as far as the articulation in the arm goes, you can move the arm forward and back. You can also move it out away from the body. And then you have the elbow, which can go forward and back. And then you also have the wrist, which can go forward and back and can also swivel. So quite a bit of articulation in that area. As you move down, you do also have midsection articulation. So you can, turn the entire body of Gorosaurus and then of course go up and then down. There's some little areas of the styrofoam that is basically attached to the figure in some of the weirdest little cracks and crevices that I'm going to have to clean out at some point. But as you continue to move down, again, you still see the ridges and everything moving along the back of the figure. You still see that really nice looking skin texture as we lead along. Leading down into the leg, you can see the musculature. We also take note to the fact that we have a grayish tone as we move down into the leg. You can, of course, articulate the legs forward and back and also out away from the body. Same deal with the knees, forward and back. Can swivel, yep. Definitely can. And then you've got a little area here of articulation in the ankle, which can go forward and back, twist, tilt, all over the place. More of that kind of styrofoam stuff that's all over it. That is one of the unfortunate side effects to using styrofoam to package figures that were recently painted, is the styrofoam then kind of sticks to them a little bit here and there, but I'll just have to use like a toothpick or something to kind of poke that all off and then free it up from all of the annoying styrofoam that's kind of following it around. You can even see more of it here on the toes. It's all over the place. But you can see the foot sculpt looks really good. Again, some kind of like creases and stuff as you lead down. You can really see all the creases throughout the course of the leg, as well as the scale detail looking really good. The claws again painted with that yellowish tone. Same deal for the dew claws back there. And of course, they also have that nice genuine sharp look, just like the teeth had. And then we move out into the tail, and as you move out, you've got quite a few areas of articulation. You've got one spot here, another one, another one, another one, another one, another one, and then one more as you lead out to the tail, where we have that almost like a stinger on the end of the tail of Gorosaurus right there. But obviously, once you have all of those articulated joints, that allows you the ability to basically articulate the tail wherever and however you want. And as you can see, it can go up, it can go down, it can go left to right, all over the place. You just have to then, once you get it into the spot you want it, you just have to go and like readjust it so that the pieces kind of fall in line with each other, so you have all of those ridges lining up along the course of the tail. You can also see a little bit of like a yellowish tone that follows along the underside of Gorosaurus, but it's not super thick or intense or anything. It's just kind of like a light yellowish tone. And you'll see the exact same thing, of course, from side to side. You're not really going to see much of any difference from one side to the other when it comes to a figure like this, like a super articulated, I knocked him over. A super articulated figure like this, it's usually going to end up looking pretty much the same on both sides. Actually, let me just get him in a nice standing position where His tail's down on the ground, and that will help to give me a good feel for the size for this figure. I'm going to readjust him, I think, slightly. You know what, I'm just going to turn him around the other way so that it's easier for me to get the tape measure over here being right-handed. This just makes more sense for me. But as far as a length goes, I'd say roughly around 10.5 inches or around 26.5 centimeters, heading toward 27, actually just shy of 27 centimeters. And then for a height, right around 5 inches or about 12.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Gorosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Ricsan Custom Toys Gorosaurus, and as you can see, he does have a pretty nice size to him, roughly in like that same similar size range as many of the other Ricsan Custom Toys figures. And to show you that, there is the Stan Winston Godzilla, which we can see is just a little bit taller than Gorosaurus. And then same case when we bring in our Ricsan Custom Toys Titanosaurus, it's just a little bit taller than Gorosaurus. And again, exactly the same case, pretty much yet again with the Valley of Gwangi Allosaurus, we can see is just a little bit taller. But if we bring in one of the newer articulated Bandai Godzillas, you can see that these two are very similar in size. However, bringing in a Playmates Godzilla, you can see that the Godzilla is just slightly taller now than Gorosaurus. And the final comparison is with the Hiya Toys 2014 Godzilla, which we can see is just slightly taller yet again than Gorosaurus. So this Ricsan Custom Toys Super Articulated Gorosaurus figure is really cool. You know, the fact that Gorosaurus doesn't get near as much love as he deserves, in my opinion, is a travesty. There should be so many more figures of this kaiju, but there really is not. So as per usual, it's nice to see Ricsan Custom Toys showing this one some love. And they showed this one some love pretty early on, as I already mentioned, in their line. And it's really cool to be able to grab one of their earlier figures now after I've had, I've acquired and reviewed quite a few of their newer ones. It's neat to be able to go back and see that there was definitely some very obvious improvements on their figures as a whole when it comes to like the sculpting and everything, but like still showing you how good their figures were even, right out of the gate. They came out swinging, I would say, and you can really see that here with this Gorosaurus. I also like the fact that they've added a bluish tone to this. Normally I would love to have it as screen accurate as possible, but the fact that they kind of create these in like action figure style with like the paint apps does again make this one look pretty cool with that bluish tone, because it just adds a little bit more paint work to it, and I think it also looks really nice. I don't really recall if there really was like a bluish tint to Gorosaurus at all. I'm going to have to go back again and see if that was the case. But again, the paint application is pretty nicely done. The paintwork of the mouth is the only area that's a little bit sloppy, but for the most part, I would say it looks nice as far as the actual paint application goes, as far as, recreating that action figure style. And then, of course, you also have tons of articulation. This thing is definitely about as articulated as you are going to find, just like every other Ricsan Custom Toys figure. So as always, you have the ability to pose Gorosaurus and display him any way you would like. So if you are interested in this, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase it right now on the Ricsan Custom Toys website, which is exactly where I purchased mine. So check that link, definitely pick this up, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.